Blessed with the mighty Atlantic Ocean, fertile agricultural lands, and a strategic geographic location that gives an opportunity for a lot of people to explore and get into the business. Gunjur and the Gambia at large has experienced numerous shutdowns when it comes to economy, and especially this COVID time. Please join us as we embark on a journey where we explore different areas of our business sector, from agriculture, fisheries, and small business enterprises. Gunjur Business is in short called Gunjur Biz. This will be a platform that we will use to explore different business opportunities, especially for young people. We'll bring you on Gunjur Online all the business topics that is related to financing, operations, marketing. And we will use this platform to invite experts from different sectors of the Gambian economy and give tips and have a broader analysis of the general business sector. This will give us an opportunity to be able to discuss in a broader detail how businesses are affected when it comes to our environment, our natural resources being exploited by other people, but also how we can tap into the opportunities and also access capital, which is very crucial for the success of the businesses. But not only that, we won't stop at accessing capital. You know what else we're going to do? It's about the little operational processes that are needed in our business culture to build up cultures that's going to be successful. And that's going to be, most importantly, what? It's going to be sustainable for the success of the business. So we can transfer wealth. We can also transfer skills from one person to another to be able to live in a community that is thriving, a community that businesses, private sector, individual businesses nurture entrepreneurship and reward them. So please join me every week on Gunjur Online as we delve into all these areas of discussions when it comes to business success. This is your host, Ahmed Manjang of Gunjur Online. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Welcome to another edition of our daily COVID-19 update on Gunjur News Online. And I hope you enjoy that advert by a colleague, Mr. Jame. He just premiered his program on Saturday. Last Saturday, I watched it, and it was very, very, very educative. If you are a prospectus entrepreneur, you want to go into business, this is the program you need to be. The guy is an expert in this field. It was a brilliant program. Anyway, today, as usual, I don't have any just today, but tomorrow, inshallah, I have Farmer N.K. Damfa, PhD. He will be talking about land use in the Gambia since 1995 and up to 2050. Is going to be in the combos, very, very interesting educative program. And I believe tomorrow you will put it in your time and, you know, come and watch that program at 6 o'clock Gambia time, 2 p.m. Eastern time in the US and 7 p.m. in the UK. Today, I will be discussing latest development in COVID-19 and also the inevitable second wave, and which is becoming increasingly likely that the second wave of COVID-19 will, elapse with the flu season, which normally happen in the winter months in the Western world and in the America. And this could be far, far, far more devastating than we are seeing now. Because what we are seeing now, we are seeing like a cluster of infections that will go, one person will infect two, and two person will infect three, four, and up to 16. But in this second wave, the scenario is going to be like, say, 200 2,000 people, infected at the same time in a cluster, and that will expand to, thousands, and then up to 1.6 million at a time. So this could overwhelm the healthcare situation. And also, you look at the situation currently in Africa is very, very much follow the predictions of the WHO that this COVID-19 is going to peak in the month of June, July in Africa, and those figures are there for everybody to see. The only good news about Africa is that the death rate is far, far, far smaller than, compared to other parts of the world. Why that is not yet clear, but definitely the death rate we've seen in England, we've seen in Spain, and other part America is in that of Africa is far, far smaller. So basically what I'm going to do, I will give you the current update. Well, today we also pass another unwelcome milestone, that the number of people who contracted COVID-19 since the pandemic first announced its presence in the world in December stands at 8,194,790 people got infected, and out of that 443,223 dead. That's about a mortality rate of about 7 to 8%. Number of people who recovered from COVID-19 is 4,272,860. And as I keep mentioning, I'm going to remind you again, this recovered population is going to be significant. It's going to be very, very important how we treat COVID-19 in future, and also is going to help us in our understanding of COVID-19. In fact, today there is a report which I share in my Facebook timeline. You can go and read it. People with blood group O, are more unlikely or are more resistant to contract COVID-19. This is something to do with the genetics and how the immune system works. So those with blood type O, that's some good news for them today. But the most vulnerable group as far as blood groups are concerned is the A group. I have to say I'm in the medial group, that is blood group type B. And how this happened, is beyond the scope of this presentation, because I might, confuse it even further if I try to explain it. But it sounds very, very plausible. The explanation they give why people with all type of blood groups are more resistant to COVID-19 than other blood groups. So currently, the number of people with COVID-19 infection stands at 3,478,699, and out of that 3,424,362, that is 98% of people with COVID-19, with active COVID-19, are in mild conditions. And mild condition include people with COVID-19 infection who are asymptomatic. That means they are not showing any sign of symptoms of any kind of infections. I'm going to use this opportunity to pray for my colleague who is my lab. She's between 60 and 70 years old. She's confirmed as COVID positive yesterday, on Sunday. So I want to wish him a speedy recovery, that he stayed at mild and recovered. The number of people, still in the mild condition, the symptoms, we have to keep reminding ourselves about this, because there is so much other news that COVID-19, in fact, all of a sudden become a second, you know, it's not as prominent as Black Lives Matter protests and also the killings we've seen in the U.S. And in the case of the Gambia, we are more riled up about this debate about the gay people. I think I'm not sure that debate is not important, but right now what is killing Gambia is corruption. I think we should concentrate on that. And even though our COVID-19 numbers are very stable, but they keep increasing, they keep creeping up. It's stand now at 30, and that's not down to what the Gambia is doing. And also that should be, something we should be talking about. So far so good. Gambia cannot even test more than 2,000 people. That's not good enough. And you compare that with the amount of money they spend for this pandemic is just, it doesn't correlate. Where is the money going? So these are the issues we should be riled up, we should be passionate, debating about, rather than, the rights of the gay people. It's just unbelievable that we are concentrating on issues, that's not even an issue in the Gambia, to tell you the fact. So part of COVID-19 symptoms are headache, temperature, that is fever, and also persistent cough. And this cough, in some instances, could be so bad. People have seen patients, or I read about patients whose lungs end up collapsing. And also, in some instances, you might not feel the temperature, you might not feel the fever, you might not feel the headache, and you might not feel the persistent cough. But there are instances people will lose their sense of smell and their sense of taste. So if you, feel any of these symptoms, what you do if you are in the Gambia is 11225. You should call and draw their attention to your conditions. Currently, the number of people with COVID-19 infection who are in critical or serious condition stands at 54,333. So everything about COVID-19 is slowing down, is going down exponentially. Numbers are increasing across the world. In Europe and America, in Europe, I can say Europe, they flatten the curve, and they are in recovery stage. In fact, they start opening between European countries. But in South America, which is the new epicenter, and the epicenter again from next week might return back to America again, because we've seen over 20 states which are registering increased numbers. In fact, in some American states, the increment in numbers is up to 50%, compared to previous week. So currently, the number of people with serious or critically ill with COVID-19 stands at 54,333. COVID-19 is a disease of the upper respiratory tract, and for the virus to infect us, it needs a route, what we call receptor. And the receptor for COVID-19 is the ACE2 receptor, that is angiotensin converting enzyme receptor. These are receptors that are in our upper respiratory tract and the lower respiratory tract for other uses. It's in fact for enzyme. But these are the receptors the virus interfere with and use it to get into our systems. So these receptors are in our nose, and in some numbers in our eyes and mouth. So once the virus have access to these receptors, they use to get into our system, and they go down. And as the virus moves down, this receptor increases, and the high number of it in our lungs, describe the pathology of COVID-19, because once it's in the lungs, it starts damaging your the lung surface, which is used to transport oxygen from the atmosphere into our systems. So basically, it interfered with the movement of oxygen from the atmosphere into our system, which serve us for metabolism and also building of a vital nutrients. So basically, once your lungs is damaged, your oxygen saturation in your systems are depleted, it plummeted. And this is how the virus end up overcoming us, because once you cannot maintain healthy level of oxygen in your blood, that is about 75% of part pressure of oxygen in your blood, your vital organs become to suffer, and eventually they will start dying off. And this is how the virus kill people. So I'm going to give you the numbers, the past 24 hours numbers for the top 10 most affected countries. So far, the number of countries affected with COVID-19 stands at 213 countries and 2 international conveyances. That means the cruise ships or military aircrafts. And past 24 hours alone across the world, 86,123 new cases were registered and 4,635 new dead. We are talking about past 24 hours. You have 86,123 contracting this virus. And considering the fact that all these individuals are from families, and the number of families are all at risk. So 86,123 different type of household, with new infection. That means how many people those people infected before they even start developing symptoms. So that's why the numbers are looking very, very grim, and it's not looking good, if I'm to be honest with you. And past 24 hours, America recorded 11,621 new cases and 420 dead. So we're beginning to see the numbers of middle of April, when this virus is causing havoc around New York area. And that's New York is no more the epicenter in America, but places like Florida, and these numbers are very, very high. And Brazil now is up there on its own in terms of number of new infections. This President Bolsonaro is one of the most idiotic leaders the world have ever seen. Forget about Donald Trump. This guy is up there with his own, because this guy, still he don't even admit the severity of this virus, which is it's defy logic, to tell you the fact. Brazil registered 13,178 new cases and 539, and it's not even peak yet. Russia past 24 hours recorded 8,248 new cases and 193, and India 9,789 new cases, 1,967 new cases. India also is in real trouble. The numbers keep increasing for the past 1 month, I can say now. UK, definitely they flatten the curve. The numbers are coming down. And as a result, they are opening, and even football, will start back again in England tomorrow. So England past 24 hours recorded 1,279 new cases, 233 dead. Even that's a big number for only one particular virus infection. That's our new number. We're so used to these numbers now. They, seems smaller numbers, but these are significant numbers. Numbers for Spain are not yet in, but Italy recorded 210 new cases and 34 dead. Iran recorded 2,563 new cases, 115 dead. And Iran also, something significant is happening, because Iran already experiencing the second wave. The second wave, the whole world is scared about whether it's possible or not. What is happening in Iran is telling us that, yeah, this second wave is no more a prediction. In fact, already Iran is experiencing, because Iran went up to double figures, but now is back in the thousands again. Past 24 hours, they recorded 2,563 new cases and 115 dead. Germany recorded 287 new cases and 14 dead, and Chile 5,013 new cases, 21 dead. These Chile numbers also is significant, because these countries are not far off from African countries. If you I'm talking about their medical facilities. the difference between them and some African countries is not. So if you are getting 5,013 new cases past 24 alone, that is very, very, very significant. And Turkey registered 1,467 17 new cases, and Mexico, again, another South American, Latin American countries with significant numbers. So this virus is not slowing down. We still have to remind each other about observing strict respiratory hygiene. By that, if you need to sneeze, you cover your nose with the inside of your elbow, and also try to wear face masks in public spaces. This is now a united WHO recommendation. So in my hospital, it's strictly followed. In fact, they wouldn't let you in without a face mask, even though our hospital doors now, all of them have a thermal cameras whereby if you come, they will look at you in the computer screen if you have elevated temperature or not. If you have elevated temperature, they will straight away isolate you and probably ask you to go home. But also they will give you alcohol hand rub before you even step into the hospital, and give you face mask if you don't have one already before you get into the hospital. That's how strict countries are. So I'm going to discuss in the next 12 minutes how second wave will look like, especially now we all believe is going to elapse with the flu season, which normally happen in the winter months in the Western world. So if COVID-19 case curve continue to flatten and decline in the United States as hope, the credit will go to physical distancing, not only in America, but in Europe, we've seen it. We can say, okay, the credit will go to physical distancing measures, which are strict in some countries, and improve hygiene awareness, which we've seen even in the Gambia, they did their best, to sensitize people through national radios and televisions, and also the social media platform helps a lot. And also we've seen individual NGOs in the Gambia going around sensitizing people. So if the curve continue to flatten, this will say, okay, these systems, they actually works, and other preventive measures. But experts said, but we should not presume the virus will be leaked anytime soon. The virus is not going anytime soon. We've seen it in places like the US, where they observe this physical distancing at different times, because what was happening in the US when New York City was closed, the next states were not closed, and they are not as strict as the measures New York employ. And because people were moving around from New York areas to these places, they transferred the virus, and that's why we are seeing spikes in other states. So in fact, many infectious disease experts like Anthony Fauci are worried about a comeback, a second wave that could strike more quickly and harder than this initial wave of infections. So we have to be extremely careful. Excuse me, guys. Yeah, worse, it could arrive just as the flu season is ramping up. This is the fear now. We seen this virus, we don't even know if the second wave has peaked, or what we are seeing is the second wave. So, but I believe we are still experiencing the fourth wave, and most experts also believe still the numbers we are seeing is part of the fourth wave. The second wave is yet to peak, is yet to appear, except in places like Iran is definitely officially confirmed. The spike in numbers we are seeing in Iran is part of the second wave. So worse, it could just arrive as the flu season is ramping on, potentially exacerbating symptoms and cause fresh havoc for the healthcare system and the economy. So, but once we start opening things back up, like Europe, tomorrow England is playing, Germany's been playing football for the past 2 weeks, even though the fans are locked out. And, yesterday we've seen German tourists arriving in Mallorca, part of Spain, and we also have a lot of individual cases that are still brewing under the surface. We've seen China going back into lockdown in certain part of their capital now. I think about 4 or 5 downtown communities are in complete lockdown because of fresh outbreak in wholesale food markets. And the School of Public on on April 28th conference call, if you don't put out all the flames, then we will have this smoldering number of people that will be able to ignite outbreak at once. Okay, so the mathematics of a second wave could be much different. As this expert Mina explains, the initial outbreak were isolated, as we have seen. This initial was starting mostly in few cities. Initially, it was Wuhan and some Chinese cities, then in Europe, and then in America, where one case might have lead to 4 other infections, then 16. But in a second wave, you could have say 100,000 cases at the start, and they spread all over the country and lead to 400,000 new infections, then 1.6 million, and so on. And if that should happen, the healthcare systems are going to be seriously overwhelmed. During 1918, 1919, flu and pandemic offers a lesson on how viral outbreak can come in waves. And Mina says the first US outbreak was in March of 1918, and the spread subsided that summer, then resurged again in the fall, creating a far deadlier second wave of infections. In fact, that 1918 Spanish flu, the second wave, is that what hit Africa, and it kills a lot of people, including the Gambia. I think 7,000 or 70,000. I can't remember the figures of it. After a third wave during the winter and spring of 1999, some 675,000 Americans have died at the time, when the total population was just a third what it is today. So it was devastating. Could a second wave come sooner than the fall? While the 1918-1919 pandemic was caused by the flu virus and therefore does not offer an apples to apples comparison to the coronavirus, COVID-19 is not the first corona-caused disease to make waves. Exactly 17 years ago, we were smack dab between 2 waves of SARS infection in Toronto, point out of Mark Cameron, the immunologist and medical research in School of Medicine at Case Western Reserve, Ohio. What I'm trying to explain here, the 1918 to 1919 Spanish flu was caused by a flu virus. This is completely different virus to COVID-19. So we cannot, say we are comparing apples and apples. I'm comparing apples and oranges here. But there is another similar glue in 17 years ago, in 2003. There was a there was a coronavirus pandemic which started in China and South Korea, and we've seen the second wave in Japan. So there is a possibility a second wave is in fact is not a possibility anymore, because already Iran is experiencing their second wave and is not looking good. So we have not been the curve enough to travel down the other side of this pandemic and release precautions in a rapid manner. We start talking about a second wave, even though the fourth wave in fact is still with us. We are yet to overcome the second wave. So on March 26, 2033, the government of Ontario, Canada declared an emergency due to an outbreak of corona SARS-CoV-1. By late April, Toronto mayor said the city was safe, inviting tourists back, just as you are seeing in Spain now. Spain already inviting tourists from Europe. On May 17, Ontario lifted the emergency again. So within 2 weeks, the second wave came roaring back just as strongly as the first and for just as long, says Cameron, who studied the disease while working at Toronto General Hospital at the time. So basically what this researcher is explaining was that in 2003, March 2026, the governor of Ontario in Canada declared that, okay, the pandemic is over, and he opened the economy and people start rushing back in. But just in 2 weeks time, he have to declare another emergency because there is a second wave. So this might be the case, as we are seeing Spain already open their borders to tourists coming in Mallorca especially. And this could lead to another second waves of infections. So he worried second wave of COVID-19 could come well before fall if possible. politicians and businesses too quickly to get back to normal. As you can see in America, it's an election year, and Donald Trump and his party can't wait to open their economy, and up to the point they start defying the scientists. If you've been observing, what is happening in America initially, every day the American president and his close allies, and also the medical expert like Anthony Fauci, will come to TV and give daily briefings. But all that disappeared because they want they don't want the public they want to dampen down the situation. It was a deliberate attempt to stop those people appearing on television, and give daily update, because this will keep people in constant fear and worry. And but if you keep them off the TV, you can gradually open the economy, and while that fear factor is there. But the danger in this is the coming back of the second wave of infection, which is almost inevitable now across the world. So if the virus is unleashed in a second wave, whether now or this fall, Cameron said the ramp up could be much quicker. It could be crushing. We won't have the slower city by city spread pattern we experienced this spring as the first wave of the pandemic ran its course. And it will seem like it is hitting us from all directions. So the clock will be reset to zero, and the same precaution will need to be put back in place, and it will feel like bad game of work a hole. So if the second wave should come, it's going to be very, very quick, and we have to go back into another lockdown. And I have to tell you personally, and I believe most people, we've already burned out. The lockdown was something the world have never seen before, in our lifetime, and it was very, very challenging emotionally and psychologically. So if we have to go and do that all over again, the effect on our mental health could be devastating. So guys, even though my slides still have some more slides, but I'll continue with this maybe on Wednesday. This is what I've got for you today. It's just a 30 minutes presentation about daily COVID-19 update. And please, I appeal to you to share this video so that it can get to as many people as you can. And just to announce to you, tomorrow we have a co-presenter, or we have a guest speaker here. Famara Damfa is PhD, and he will talk about the land use from 1985 to 2050 in the Combos. It's very, very interesting. As you know, you can't just take land off the news now in the Gambia. So this is going to be a very, very important presentations. So thank you all for your time. I value your time of visiting, and I appeal once again, please share this video. Allah Barak.
Blessed with the mighty Atlantic Ocean, fertile agricultural lands, and a strategic geographic location that gives an opportunity for a lot of people to explore and get into the business. Gunjur and the Gambia at large has experienced numerous shutdowns when it comes to economy, and especially this COVID time. please join us as we embark on a journey where we explore different areas of our business sector, from agriculture, fisheries, and small business enterprises. Gunjur Business is in short called Gunjur Biz. This will be a platform that we will use to explore different business opportunities, especially for young people. We'll bring you on Gunjur Online all the business topics that is related to financing, operations, marketing. And we will use this platform to invite experts from different sectors of the Gambian economy and give tips and have a broader analysis of the general business sector. This will give us an opportunity to be able to discuss in a broader detail how businesses are affected when it comes to our environment, our natural resources being exploited by other people, but also how we can tap into the opportunities and also access capital, which is very crucial for the success of the businesses. But not only that, we won't stop at accessing capital. You know what else we're going to do? It's about the little operational processes that are needed in our business culture to build up cultures that's going to be successful. And that's going to be, most importantly, what? It's going to be sustainable for the success of the business. So we can transfer wealth. We can also transfer skills from one person to another to be able to live in a community that is thriving, a community that businesses, private sector, individual businesses nurture entrepreneurship and reward them. So please join me every week on Gunjur Online as we delve into all these areas of discussions when it comes to business success. This is your host, Abubakar of Gunjur Online. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you.
Gunjur Fitness Center Body Max.
See the wine, I see fire for body. And if you follow me, go now, enjoyment go kill 'em. Baby girl, you bad, girl, the way you whine. I demand over you, girl. I demand over you, girl. Say you are my woman, my superwoman. I demand over you, girl. I demand over you, girl. See the wine, I see fire for body. And if you follow me, go now, enjoyment go kill 'em.
Moro
Ibanya
mbijango
doko benya
bakandro
ko ngalla janna kibaro moy kalka sola bagaso wafu wodan sija
ka fontelle ko solar enterprise fo fendi nabe dendi solar la fannala la solar la bundal ndella ko do ko ke mole janka solar joran kendo natala dum min nata na ko fanandiya birin gambia jam fo gambia e bantala nga bagasol samba beton ka do ku kendo be ke mo be ni nga do ko ke momo ndi en ka sanji kilin garantie dilale nyin kama ko la do ko lanno so waran ni tema
baga sifalle
bagaso min bijay fofe nabe den ni sola la bundala la sola la fanala a bagaso sifa be bijay lightning and pumping system ndella fanan ko ke mole min be den ni na ko ni dandal ni kordal ka diodi alla ni ka lampo fanan se ka diala wo pumping wolbe den ni gadinol ni ku kotal ni la jiko ni la fanga bela lightning wala dimbani ku kotal janno sola enterprise tin ko la kadi
fam sola
fofe be den ni sola la hajo la janne be loro
wato tente bul bagasol tan
adum fana be ku fula la leje bunda fula fana be mbulle fan ka bonan dami anin dula ba fula safonya America ni Europe na fan ka bana wolta dum doron no moto min ka fenken do na te sola la bagasol kana te nyam banko kanja
abanta bagasol tan
ngata.
For more information, call 7171998. 7171998. Gunjur Fitness Center Body Max.
Didi